Technology is fast, validation is slow, capital is impatient. And that's how we are at this existential crisis. So every system has a clock. Now, the problem is when clocks start to diverge, failures multiply, trust collapses, harm compounds. When you don't optimize for validation alongside speed, everything breaks. So let's look at peer review. Everything is slow. Imagine that. Papers traveled by mail. Validation required months of correspondence. Publication meant physical distribution. So submission to publication now exceeds 18 months. AI capabilities double in under 12. I wrote my first paper this year back in March, I want to say. I think I've written six or seven since then that I've at least tried to like give to people to look at. Um, I've tried submitting to some journals. On archive, I needed some sort of, I don't know, somebody needed to approve me or something. I ended up publishing my conscious economics paper on Zenodo, but I have no idea how long it'll take. I finally got invited to the Wolfram Institute community after sending them a little bit of my work like 6 months ago. Everything is moving so slowly, and I'm used to being in AI startup world, and it's so fast. And let me tell you, this has completely blown my mind because I'm stuck in between worlds. Like I'm in a world of academia that doesn't accept me because I don't fit their profile of moving slow and being anti-tech, um, anti-money, right? Um, but I'm more diligent and worried about the consequences than tech is. And so I sit in the middle with no resources from either, and I keep trying to figure out what to do. And so finally, I'm just like, let's figure out how we actually can fix this. And so this brings us into this other world, right, where investment diligence has no scientific backbone. People look and go, well, that's probably right. Like, we're looking at founders, we're looking at business models, and the whole thing is like nobody has any idea what these business models of the future are going to look like because the future is looking different and different every single day. And so you end up having investment follow hype, not science, because if you try to do science, you're outrun by the hype. Um, and so everything is built on narrative. And so I've been learning this, but I've actually been doing the science while I'm learning about the narrative. And so I want to make the narrative and the science flow in alignment. And so because we've got all of this weird speeds differences going around, we end up like, resume heuristics, soft validation, all sorts of like actual like shit that doesn't work, but that's where all the money is going. And so what if we so if we have this system, right? So we've got AI systems moving exponentially while validation is linear. Basically, this breaks. And actually, I just published a blog on this yesterday. If everybody built, or if somebody builds it, everybody dies. If you notice, that's the name of the book by Eliezer Yudkowsky. Um, and it's one that I'd actually been arguing against, and in fact said that I had proven it wrong, before it was published. But I realized that it's actually true as things stand, because basically it's an unbound system. And in this type of system, basically failure is inevitable. You end up with a very interesting Pareto distribution, basically from like 0 to 1, but nobody wins. You just have some winners more than others, versus the bounded system, which has a normal distribution, a nice bell curve, where everybody wins, and then a few people win a whole bunch. And if you look, we actually have some very interesting um, things there. But so the speed without verification gives us systemic risk. We're beyond the past of human speed governance, so we need to change our networks. It's infrastructural. And this is my whole point. Like, we're not waiting on peer review, ethical boards, market feedback, legislative cycles. We're just moving as quickly as possible. So we're funding risk, not understanding. And the risk is not good risk because it optimizes growth, winner take all, narrative collapse. We need to flip that completely. So we need to create like a feedback loop because right now none exists between capital and research. And in fact, they're diametrically opposed and they really don't like each other. Look at how academia and tech view each other. And the whole reason is that basically one side is taking all of the wins and the other side is getting all of the losses. And um, it's really shitty on kind of the whole structure. And so we need this bridge here. And so what I'm looking at here is, okay, what if we adjust the network and the system that we have in place? What if we move research and peer review into the diligence process? And so with the whole idea of the yes pen and this human origin reinforcement data, I have a diligence repo set up where I'm setting a peer review process that basically gets some of the money from the fundraise as like a validation fee. And so you can quite easily start to see how this turns into like crypto structures because it works very well with these types of systems once we have a well-defined system that works with humans. So we embed the research, we turn that into experiments with falsifiable predictions, and then we basically route capital into the validation pipelines that actually start working. And then we allow researchers to actually benefit from like taking place in this pre-deployment validation as opposed to just figuring out everything from the black box to the wreckage. And then we're immediately publishing failures by default because it's all helpful information for the system. It's all being used. We're not creating this combative information system where it's people against each other because of misaligned incentives. We're actually all aligned to have the best possible system. And so at this point, peer review becomes diligence. So we're not worrying about VC predicting the future. We're worried about VCs getting money and funding the future. You've got researchers who are, not observing things and trying to figure out things after the fact, but they're testing and, working on experiments about claims before capital actually commits. And then we have this pipeline that can, create this incredible flywheel of actually moving quickly and rewarding fast moving research. And so suddenly capital becomes a knowledge engine because it's creating validation studies, it's creating simulations, it's creating safety tests, it's creating replication studies. And so some of this money just funds this infrastructure itself because it's actually the very interesting thing here is that the cost of safety grows linearly while the cost of the cost of risk grows super linearly. And so if we actually have these systems that are structured to have safety built in, over time, you get higher and higher margins of growth because you're able to um, capture risk into minimal risk systems. Um, and so the way I've been looking at this is we should never actually be experimenting on humans first. Now that we've got the ability to create, all sorts of AI models, we can actually, create human simulations, synthetic populations. Actually, if you check out Ask Rally, they've got a great user sim setup that I've been testing quite a bit with. Then, you can get sandbox testing with informed participants. And then you actually have to like let people red team you, right? Try to actually break your system. Because reality isn't your test suite. Like when you're impacting people, like fucking don't when simulation infrastructure exists. Because here's kind of the issue, right? Like our validation speed is linear, our evolution speed is exponential, and shit's gonna break. So this model works at all scales. Um, Founder, T, market, institution, planet. Time alignments, scale invariant. Evolution rate, validation rate, close the gap. So past knowledge, future speed, present accountability. All got to be connected. They need to be structured and designed to make them economically inevitable. Speed and understanding are not mutually exclusive. Innovation and validation, not mutually exclusive. When we actually build systems that understand humans, understand time, and understand risks, we can actually build systems quickly that are human shaped, human centric, and human valuable. We need speed and understanding because the future demands both. Speed without knowledge is recklessness. Knowledge without speed is irrelevance. Only the synthesis is adequate to the moment. These are a civilization infrastructure. This is how we build powerful technologies. We need it as infrastructure. With them, capability and stability can scale together. It's not reform, it's a refactoring of modernity.